I found a strange phone number, written on a bathroom stall. I was never the type to pay attention to bathroom stall graffiti. Most of it was crude jokes, poorly drawn doodles, or declarations of love that had probably faded long before the relationship did. But that day, something was different. It was a rainy Friday afternoon, and I had just finished a long shift at the campus library. I stopped by the old diner near Main Street, the kind of place that still had jukeboxes at the tables and a menu that hadn't changed since the 1970s. I ordered a burger, coffee, and excused myself to the restroom. That's where I saw it, written in shaky black marker on the back of the stall door, surrounded by peeling paint and years of scribbled nonsense, was a message that stopped me cold. Call this number if you want to know the truth. 917-462-9908. No explanation, no context, just that. At first I laughed. It had to be a prank, someone trying to mess with the curious, but something about it pulled at me. Maybe it was the way the handwriting looked rushed, almost panicked, or maybe it was how it wasn't surrounded by any other graffiti. Just that one sentence, centered like someone had cleared the space just for it. I finished up, washed my hands, and returned to my booth. I couldn't stop thinking about the number. I even jotted it down on a napkin, telling myself I'd throw it away before leaving. But instead of tossing it, I folded it and slid it into my wallet. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the napkin. My phone was in my hand. The glow of the screen lit up the dark room. I typed in the number, but didn't press call. What if it was some scam? Or worse, a trap? Curiosity won. I pressed the call button and held the phone to my ear. 1 ring, 2, 3. Then someone answered. But they didn't say, hello. They didn't say anything. What I heard chilled me more than a voice ever could. I heard my name, whispered, softly, once. Then the call disconnected. I sat frozen, staring at my phone like it had betrayed me. How did they know my name? I checked the number again. Still the same. 917-*****. No caller ID, no trace. And yet, they knew who I was. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept hearing that voice, that whisper. I told myself it was a coincidence, a prank, maybe even an automated call. But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't over. Something had just begun. I spent most of the next day trying to convince myself it was a mistake. Maybe someone had guessed my name. Maybe it was a weird coincidence. But that didn't explain the whisper. It didn't explain the way my skin prickled when I heard it. It felt personal. By Saturday evening, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I did something reckless. I called the number again. No one answered. No voicemail. Just 4 rings, then it disconnected. I stared at the screen, heart racing. I was tempted to leave it there, but then a message popped up. Unknown. Number. Stop calling. Meet me at the bridge. Midnight. Come alone. My stomach turned. The message didn't feel like a joke anymore. I should have ignored it. I should have blocked the number, thrown my phone into a lake, and moved on. But some part of me, some deep, gnawing need to understand, drove me forward. That night, I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't even bring my car. I walked the old railway path to the abandoned bridge just outside town. The place had been closed for years. Rotting wood, rusted iron, barely holding together. Midnight meant silence. No wind, no animals, just my footsteps on gravel. When I got there, no one was around, but on the center beam of the bridge, in fresh black marker, was another message. You were right to come. Look under the 3rd plank. My hands were shaking as I crouched. The 3rd plank creaked under my weight, but I pried it up, expecting dirt, or maybe nothing at all. Instead, I found a small, water-stained envelope. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. It was me, taken from outside my bedroom window, at night. I spun around, scanning the shadows. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear my own breathing. Hello? I called out. No answer, just the echo of my voice over the water below. I rushed back home, locked every window, and closed the curtains. Then I checked every inch of my room, under the bed, behind the closet door, outside the window. Nothing. But the fear didn't go away, because someone had been watching me. They knew where I lived. They knew my name. And now, they knew I'd follow. I didn't sleep again. The Polaroid sat on my desk, taunting me, whispering one thought over and over. This is only the beginning. I didn't leave my house for 2 days. I barely ate. I didn't turn on the lights. My phone stayed face down on the nightstand, but I kept checking it, again and again, waiting for another message. None came, but I knew it wasn't over. Monday morning, I went to the police. I brought the photo and told them everything. About the bathroom stall, the call, the bridge. The officer on duty gave me a long, tired look. And you just went to meet them? Yes, I said, because they knew my name. They took this. I slid the Polaroid across the desk. He glanced at it, then raised an eyebrow. This looks old, like it's been sitting in a drawer for years. That didn't make sense. I didn't even have curtains in my room 5 years ago. I leaned closer. The clothes I wore in the photo, faded hoodie, torn jeans, were things I hadn't owned since high school. But that's me, I said. I swear, that's my old room. He nodded, scribbled something in his notebook, and said he'd file a report. But I knew the look he gave me, like I was wasting his time. That night, the phone rang again. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Silence. Then the whisper returned. You're getting closer. I could barely get the words out. Who are you? The voice was so quiet, like it came from the other side of a dream. I was where you are. Now I'm not. What do you want from me? The whisper paused, like it was trying to remember something. Then, do you still sleepwalk? The breath caught in my throat. I hadn't sleepwalked since I was 13. I'd wake up outside sometimes, in the backyard, or curled on the front porch. My parents thought I'd grow out of it, and eventually I did. But this stranger knew. I hung up and turned every lock in the house. Something deep in my memory stirred, something I'd forgotten. The whisper, the number, the photo. It all felt connected. But to what? At 3:17 a.m., I woke up, standing in the backyard, barefoot, freezing. I don't remember getting there, but in the grass at my feet was a second Polaroid. Me again, sleeping in bed, taken from inside my room. I didn't sleep the next night. I sat upright in bed, every light on, armed with a baseball bat I hadn't touched since high school. My phone sat beside me, screen glowing, waiting. The photo, me asleep, taken from inside my room, lay on the nightstand. I studied it over and over, trying to find something, anything, that would tell me how it got there. The window in the photo was slightly open. I never opened that window. By sunrise, my eyes ached from staying open too long. I checked the window. Locked, no signs of a break-in, but I couldn't shake the feeling someone had been standing there, watching. I couldn't stay here anymore. I packed a bag, tossed the photo inside, and drove to my friend Mason's place across town. Mason was the only person who wouldn't look at me like I was crazy. He didn't even blink when I showed him the Polaroids. I'm not saying ghosts are real, he said, but this is weird. The phone number, the voice, these pictures. You might be caught up in something bigger than you think. We spread everything out on his kitchen table. Both Polaroids, the photo of the bathroom stall, my notes. Mason leaned back in his chair and frowned. Let's call the number. I felt my stomach twist. I've already done that. Twice. No, not from your phone. From mine. He tapped the number in and put it on speaker. It rang once. Twice. Then a click. Static. Then something that didn't sound like a voice at all. More like breathing. Heavy. Strained. Like someone just beneath the surface, struggling to speak. Then a word. Downstairs. Mason and I froze. Is that? He whispered. A sudden crash shook the floor below us. We leapt to our feet. Mason grabbed a kitchen knife, and I clutched the bat tighter than ever. We crept toward the stairs, each creak of the wood louder than a scream. At the bottom, the living room stood in eerie silence, but the basement door was wide open. Mason had sworn he kept it locked. We stood at the edge, looking down into total darkness. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Come see. I stepped down into the dark, and Mason followed me. The basement wasn't just cold. It was wrong, like the air had been pulled out of it. The light flicked on, but what it revealed wasn't any basement I recognized. It looked like a room from my childhood. Exactly like it. Even the posters on the wall matched. And in the corner was another photo. Me. Only this time, I wasn't alone. The photo was cold. I don't mean that metaphorically. When I picked it up from the dusty floor of the basement, that now looked exactly like my childhood bedroom. It was ice cold, like it had just come out of a freezer. My hands trembled as I brought it up to the light. It was me again. Only this time, I was standing in that same bedroom, this very room, and beside me was a figure, a tall, blurry silhouette with no face. Its head leaned toward mine like it was whispering something. I dropped the photo. Mason swore under his breath. What the hell is this? I don't know, I whispered. That wasn't there before. This isn't your basement anymore, is it? He shook his head slowly. We backed out of the room, up the stairs, and slammed the door shut. Mason shoved the lock in place, both of us panting. Okay, he said, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it's a prank, someone messing with you. You said you called that number, right? Maybe they're setting you up. I nodded, but my gut told me this was far beyond a prank. Whatever this was, it had layers, photos, voices, distorted spaces. And now, it was getting physical, personal. It knew where I lived. It knew my past. It had recreated a room I hadn't seen in over 10 years. We decided to destroy the photos. We lit a small fire in the backyard, dropping each Polaroid in one by one. The images twisted, curled, and blackened. I felt a strange, almost physical resistance as they burned. Like something inside didn't want to be erased. But they were gone, or so I thought. That night, back at home, I checked my voicemail out of habit. There was a new message. It was just static for 10 seconds. Then, my own voice. I burned them. I ended it. Another 10 seconds of silence, then a whisper, barely audible. You only opened the door. I dropped the phone and backed away. The lights flickered. Every clock in my apartment, my phone, the microwave, the wall clock, all froze at 3:33 a.m. My bedroom door creaked open. Inside, the air felt heavier than it ever had. And on the floor, another Polaroid. Me, asleep in bed, and something standing at the foot of it. My hand trembled as I flipped the photo over. 4 words were written in sharp black ink. You're next to me. Behind me, the floor creaked. The phone rang once, then silence. And I finally understood. The number doesn't want to be called. It wants to find you.